guys, Titan Uprising here. Thanks for watching the show. Please continue to like, share, subscribe. I'm over 60 subscribers. Please keep them coming. My goal is 100 by the end of the month. Make it happen sooner if you can. I really appreciate it. I apologize for the sniffles. I'm allergic to pollen, and my allergies are absolutely driving me bonkers right now. My allergy pill wore off, so bear with me during this video. This video I've been waiting to do for a little bit because I am a Derrick Henry just super fan. I'm wearing his jersey. I got him behind me. I have his helmet here. I got the figurines back here behind me as well over my shoulder. Guys, I love this guy. I really do. He's my favorite player in period. My favorite player, period. I've been waiting to do this video because it just gets me excited. And I wanted to make sure that I was able to do it well and do it accurately. And I wanted to prove that Derrick Henry is a Hall of Famer already. He could retire today and be a Hall of Famer. My definition of a Hall of Famer, by the way, and I think it should be the general definition, is you cannot write the history books of the NFL without including a certain player. If you can't do that, then he's a Hall of Famer. If you can write the history books in the NFL and you leave out a certain guy, he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame because he wasn't a big contributor. But like I just said, if you can't leave him out, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. So a guy like Derrick Henry that's broken records, that has, made an impression in the playoffs, that people talked about as being the best player, the best running back for years, that as a generational running back, you can't write the history books without this guy. And because of that, he's a Hall of Famer. And I'm going to prove that. So I'm going to pop up on the screen here his regular season stats, career-wise, and that is 102 games played with 71 starts. Now, guys, if you remember, he started off slow. I remember we had DeMarco Murray and then Deion Lewis. They wanted to take over for the first couple of years. Derrick Henry didn't really catch his niche there until 2018. So he really deserved it. Remember, at one point we were talking about trading him. And him and Eddie George sat down, and George said, "Guy, you got to use your big body. You have to do something here you got to impose your will on the defender." And it just took off for him. And I'm happy that conversation happened because Eddie George is one of my favorite players as well. And it's just awesome those two had a conversation, and Derrick Henry's career just took off from there. So like I said, 102 games played, 71 starts. 1,750 yards, 1,750 attempts for 8,335 yards with a 4.8 average with a 99 yard longest run, which is also tied for NFL history. 78 touchdowns rushing. And then let's get into the receiving here. 127 receptions for 1,244 yards with a 9.8 average, 75 yard long, and then 3 touchdowns. And then let's do the passing here because, Derrick Henry's known for passing once in a while here. 5 for 6 with an 83.3 percentage for 23 yards with a 3.8 average and 2 touchdowns. Now, that's just regular season. Let's get into postseason. 7 games played, 7 games started. 156 attempts there for 732 yards with a 4.7 average with a 66 long rushing attempt there. That's his longest in the playoffs. And then 4 touchdowns total rushing. And then receiving, he has 13 receptions for 88 yards with a 6.8 average with a 29 yard long reception. And then passing 1 for 1, which is 100% obviously, 3 yards and 1 touchdown. So this guy is special. As I've said, you can see this is dominance in the regular season, this dominance in the postseason. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm going to say that another 10 times probably throughout this video because I do believe he does. So let's talk about NFL records here. He is the first player to record a 200-plus yard and 4 touchdown game on fewer than 22 carries. That's absurd. Did that on minimal carries because he's such a beast. He's a freak. Generational talent, generational back. guy that big, that fast. He's tied for longest run in NFL history at 99 yards. Backs up my point that you cannot write the history books without this guy. He's the first player in NFL history with 180-plus rushing yards in 3 consecutive games. That is absolutely crazy. And guys, we're Titans fans. You know they're running the ball with Derrick Henry, so he's not only getting 180-plus rushing yards in 3 consecutive games, he's getting that against 8 to 9-man boxes. That is absurd. Think about that. He also has the most rushing yards in his first 4 playoff games ever, which is 561. Out of everybody combined, their first 4 playoff games, he has the most. Like I said, you can't write the history books without this guy. He's also the first player to have 180-plus rushing yards in consecutive playoff games. Once again, against stacked boxes when everybody knew you were running the football with Derrick Henry. It did not matter. Guys, this guy is a Hall of Famer. Now let's do Titans franchise records. Most rushing yards in the game, 250 against the Houston Texans that are Derrick Henry co-owns them. That's a joke, by the way, but he really does, because he really does own the Houston Texans every time he plays them. Most rushing yards in back-to-back games, which is 408. That's crazy. Most rushing yards in a postseason game, 195 against the Ravens when he absolutely dominated them, single-handedly knocking off the 1 seed. Most rushing touchdowns in the game, which is 4 in 2018 against the Jaguars, which was tied with Campo and Lorenzo White. So, dude, that's four touchdowns. Crazy. I remember that game. They were chanting his name and they wanted me another one. That's crazy. Most scrimmage yards in a postseason game, which is 204, also against the Ravens, which the game he dominated in. Most 100 rushing yard postseason games, 100 or more, I should say, which is 3. Most games with at least 2 touchdowns in a season, which is 6. And then longest rushing play, which was 99 yards, which is crazy. I think Chris Johnson didn't do it. And then most rushing yards in a season, which is 2,027, which also beat Chris Johnson, who had a 2,000-yard season as well. Chris Johnson was a generational talent too, guys. He really was. And Derrick Henry's he's just surpassing him. We'll get into the NFL awards here that he had. NFL Offensive Player of the Year 2020. First Team All-Pro 2020. By the way, guys, in 2020, he should have been the MVP. It's a quarterback-driven league, but he should have been the MVP. Everybody knows he got snubbed. Second Team All-Pro in 2019. 3-time Pro Bowler in 19, 20, and 22. 2 times NFL rushing yards leader in 19 and 20. And 2 times NFL rushing touchdowns leader in 19 and 20 as well. And guys, remember, when he got hurt 2 years ago, he didn't even play half the season and almost broke 1,000 yards. So he was on a man, that season, he was going to tear the league up that year, guys. He was just crushing it, absolutely crushing it. And I've never seen a guy running back wise take over a game like Derrick Henry can take over a game, because he just does. I mean, the Buffalo Bills game a few years ago, one of the COVID years we had, that game was Buffalo's way. They were kicking field goals. They weren't scoring touchdowns yet. Derrick Henry busts like a 60, 70-yard touchdown run, and it busts the whole freaking game open. He also had the Josh Norman stiff arm. So, guys, he can single-handedly change a game, and it's so much more impressive because Tennessee, as we all know, does not scare you when they drop back to pass. They do scare you when they drop back and hand it off to the freak number 22. So teams are stacking the box, and it doesn't matter. He's still doing it against one of the worst. He's finished second in the NFL in rushing last year against the worst line in the NFL. The worst line in the NFL. And he finished second in rushing. That's crazy. Just give him a decent line. He's popping 2,000 yards off. So I really do think that Derrick Henry has solidified himself. You got to say the playoff records he holds, most consecutive games there, which was, let me scroll up, most rushing yards in first 4 playoff games, First player to have 180 plus rushing yards in consecutive playoff games. So this guy's not only dominating in the regular season, he's dominating the postseason, which is where legends are made, is the postseason. It's too bad we didn't get to the Super Bowl, but he got to an AFC Championship game. I do think he's a current Hall of Famer already. If he gets to that next step, then he will be a Hall of Famer. And the next step, I would say playing in the Super Bowl at least, winning it would definitely solidify it. But getting the one would also, in my opinion, solidify it. But guys, like I said, the 99-yard rush, you can't have that, leave that out of the record books because it's in there. 180 plus rushing yards in consecutive playoff games, that's a record book. Most rushing yards in the first 4 playoff games, 561, that's in the record books. Not tied for the longest run in NFL history at 99 yards, that's in the records. So you can't write the history of the NFL without having Derrick Henry's name pop up in there. And that's my definition of a Hall of Famer. They're writing the book somewhere and they go, well, Derrick Henry did this. You gotta put him in there. That's my definition. So let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with my definition of what a Hall of Famer is? Do you think he is already there? Do you think that he needs more to prove? And if he does need more to prove, what do you think he needs to do? Obviously, everybody's going to say a Super Bowl ring. But, guys, I don't see Tennessee win a Super Bowl within the next couple of years. And I don't even know if Henry will be here then. He might be somewhere else. So, let's leave Super Bowl out of it. What else does Derrick Henry need to do to solidify his Hall of Fame career? I'm really interested to know what you guys think because I try not to be biased, but I'm a little biased when it comes to Derrick Henry. I will admit that. Like I said, he's my favorite player. I think he's currently a Hall of Famer. Other people will say that he needs to do more. And that's what I'm curious about. What do you guys, if you don't agree with me, what do you think he has to do more extra on top to solidify his Hall of Fame career? Let me know, guys. And it is currently Sunday, so happy Mother's Day. And I hope you guys had a great weekend. And we'll talk soon. Tighten up, everybody.